Hi there guys, and welcome back to the New Nassau Food Forest. It is time for September's plant of the month, and today it is going to be a firebush. You can see it right behind me here. Firebush is a Florida native that you've probably seen before. Lots of places have started to include it in landscaping. It is a great native plant that attracts hummingbirds and butterflies, and it also looks very nice in the garden. So we're planting one of those today. And due to all of the flooding and the recent weather we've been having, I can't get my truck back here with mulch and manure and all that stuff. So we're going to do things a little differently and use what we have on hand. And that's a little bit of a surprise. So we'll get to that in a moment. First things first, we're going to go ahead and dig this hole. We're going to dig about 3 times the size of the root ball that we have. So we've got the pot back there. We're going to dig about 3 times that size because we're going to fill it with compost and backfill it with some of the sand as well before we plant it. So let's get to digging. Alright, so now that the hole's dug, we're going to backfill it with some compost and then some of the sand that I just dug out. As I mentioned earlier, normally when I would amend the soil with compost, I would use compost from a friend's farm. They have horses and cows, and so their compost is primarily horse and cow manure. But because I can't get my truck all the way back here, and even moving the wheelbarrow and stuff would be pretty tough, I decided to use what we have on hand. And what we have on hand today is the waste from the composting toilet. So we're going to plant this with human waste and see how it does. No, go away. No, out. So I wanted to check before I made the video about this, or before I talked about this rather, because I went ahead and opened it up, dumped it in there, and it doesn't really smell bad at all. It just smells like earth, maybe a little bit of the same manure smell you would get from well-composted cow and horse manure. And the reason it doesn't really smell that bad, or really smell at all other than earthy, is because of the composting process. If you do it right, composting is not supposed to smell. And that goes for whether you're composting your food scraps, your yard debris, or even your own bodily waste. So as far as the composting toilet goes, what I do is I have a bucket system, and there's already a base layer of mulch in there. You go in, you do your business, and then you immediately cover it up with more cover material. Sometimes that's ash or sawdust. In my case, I just use mulch because I normally have a lot of it. And then it's allowed to sit there and decompose. All the liquid mixes with the mulch and the woody material and soaks up, and it just does its thing and composts into nice rich fertilizer. So, that being said, I still want to stay relatively clean, so we're going to fill up with some sand, mix it around with the pitchfork. We're not going to touch any of it, and then we are going to wash our hands afterwards. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start filling it all in. All right, so we've got it planted, we've got it tamped down. 2 more things are left. We're gonna go ahead and go get a bunch of Biden's Alba seeds. I'll show you what that looks like. And Biden's Alba plant material as well. And we're gonna spread that around the base, and then we're gonna cover all the rest of it up with pigeon pea branches. And we're just gonna use all of that as mulch. I'm gonna go wash my hands, and I will get back with you guys with some new plants to put around the base. And here we are, guys. So this plant is called Biden's Alba. It's incredibly medicinal. It is native to the southeastern United States, and it's great bee forage. It blooms year-round. It pulls heavy metals from the ground. I could go on and on about how amazing this particular plant is, but it grows super easily, and it's good for pollinators, and we're going to throw some of this around in hopes that it grows around the base of this firebush. So I'll go ahead and harvest a bunch of this, and then we'll move on to pigeon pea, and then we'll wrap up with the firebush. All right, and all of these hedgerows that we have here are pigeon pea. I planted these from seed a little over a year ago, so they grow really, really fast, and they're great chop and drop. They're a good nitrogen fixer. So I'm going to cut back a bunch of this and just lay it at the base of our firebush, and it should slowly feed the soil, cover up all that bare earth we just made by digging around, and help feed the plant for quite a while over some time. All right, I've got a bunch of pigeon pea cuttings. I'm just going to lay them all around in a nice mat to cover up all the bare earth, and then we'll be done. And that's it. Pretty easy. It's a nice firebush. I'm excited to see how well it grows, especially with our added amendments. To wrap things up, thanks for watching, of course. The use of human waste as fertilizer is really interesting. It is safe if done properly, but please do your own research on how to do that. I highly recommend the Humanure Handbook if you're curious about more of that stuff. Huge shout out to my Patreon subscribers, particularly Margie Corstan, Ryan Zimmerman, and Kat McAuliffe, and also John McKee, who specifically donate to the Plant of the Month patron level. Couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you so much for supporting this particular video series. And thank you to all my Patreon subscribers who keep New Nassau well funded. Thanks for all of that. The last thing to do is to just water up, and I think that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more stuff, and if you'd like to subscribe to the Patreon, head on over to www.patreon.com/NewNassauFoodForest to support us in that way. Otherwise, just follow us on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and I appreciate all your support. Thanks very much, and see you next time.